Todd, do you want to pick an M&A story from 2015 and we'll walk through it?
Yeah, well, we can. There's there were a ton.
Yeah.
Kind of a target-rich environment.
Yeah, very much so. Record year for M&A deals in the healthcare space this past year, and you had touched on, these aren't mutually exclusive. When you look at these deals, there may be multiple reasons for doing a deal, and I thought that one place to start so that we could kind of talk about some of these issues was with the granddaddy deal of them all for 2015, and that's Pfizer's proposed acquisition of Allergan in a $160 billion combination.
Yeah, this would create the largest pharma on the planet, looking at potentially generating $25 billion in cash flow beginning in 2018. The two companies together would have 100 plus mid to late stage programs. This is just a mammoth, colossal deal, and I think you are right on the money in starting with talking about this one.
Yeah, you're talking about Pfizer's combining a $48 billion in sales with Allergan $16 billion in sales to create a company that's doing $64 billion with a B in the sale of medicines that are widely used throughout the globe. And Michael, we were talking about the different reasons behind some of these deals, and you look at it and you say, well, there are some things that Pfizer is getting in this deal, that multiple things. They're getting obviously new drugs, Botox obviously, and some eye care drugs that are also important. But they're also going to benefit from some potential tax savings that are associated with this deal.
Yeah, when you look at intent on this deal, to me, that's what stands out is the tax savings. And it's interesting because when you listen to the two companies talk about it, they're kind of saying, oh, no, it's not really the tax. It's because of, other strategic importances. And that's actually a phrase I'm stealing from the conference call, is strategic importance of the franchises.
Yeah, Pfizer's Ian Reed actually was quoted. He said, well, once again, I want to stress that we're not doing this transaction simply as a tax transaction. We're doing this because of the strategic importance of the franchises, the revenue growth we believe we can get both in the U.S. and internationally, and the importance of this to combine the research approaches, which to me really highlights the fact that, yes, tax, definitely part of it, but there's also this sort of additional growth in areas that Pfizer hasn't been that involved in. And so to me, this is an opportunity to kind of reach into some of these new markets.
And just to back up a little bit and give the background about why tax is even coming into play here. So Pfizer is a U.S.-based company, and so technically the way the deal is arranged is that Allergan, which is based in Ireland, would be buying Pfizer. So the company would be able to re-land its headquarters over in a country that has a much, much lower corporate tax rate.
Yeah, or
right.
at least
the U.S. corporate tax rate currently is 35%, right, which is the highest in the industrial world. Obviously, we employ a lot of people in our corporations to help lower those tax rates. So the effective tax rate for Pfizer is in the low to mid 20s. So we'll say 23.4%, I think, through the first 9 months of the year, right? By moving their headquarters overseas, they think that they can reduce that to 17 to 18% over the first couple years, and maybe get it as low as 15% further out. If they were to do that, estimates peg the savings at about $2 billion a year, which is about what, by the way, the company says that they'll save in quote unquote synergies.
So having covered intent, and we've touched a little bit on mechanism.
It's a purchase. Yeah,
yeah, clearly. To be specific, Allergan shareholders will be receiving 11.3 shares of Pfizer stock for each share they have of Allergan, which is kind of interesting because if you look at the two share prices right now, they don't reflect that multiple. Right now, right before the show, I pulled some numbers. Pfizer's trading for $32, Allergan's at $306. That's a multiple of 9.6. You would think that if this deal were, done and set, Allergan should be trading for a multiple of 11.3. But right now, the multiple of 11.3 would bring you to $359, which is almost an 18% premium over what it's actually trading for. So clearly there's some suspicion here about whether or not this deal will actually go through.
Yeah, or there are a number of possible outcomes there. It could be that there's the U.S. has really pushed back against the whole tax inversion thing in general. So there are probably concerns about that. There are probably concerns about whether it'll actually go through. A number of possible things there. So yeah, that's mechanism there. Thinking about risk appetite, this is a commercial stage company buying another commercial stage company. So I would say that your kind of risk of things just totally imploding with this deal, if it were to go through, fairly low. Just because, when you compare this to like a biotech in phase one, your chance of success, essentially, these drugs continuing to be marketed and continuing to do well, very high in comparison.
Yeah, you know what you're getting with Allergan. It's a mature company.
Yes.
Right. I mean, they're saying this is a great cash flow deal. Yeah, we're paying a lot for in multiple to sales to do the deal, but at the same time, this is going to kick out a tremendous amount of cash flow that we can use to either do additional deals down the road or to continue to return money to shareholders via dividends and buybacks.